Hey Wobblers, welcome back. This week we are off to explore Baker Street. On this channel I walk around London and I'm on a mission to visit and explore every station on the London Underground. And this week it's the turn of Baker Street. So coming up, we've got lots of exciting things to see. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, I'm afraid. You'll have to bear with me. But hopefully we will learn lots of interesting, quirky facts and see lots of blue plaques. There are an awful lot of blue plaques on this one. I think this is probably the Womble that I've done with the most blue plaques. In fact, I struggled to squeeze them all in, and I did miss a couple because otherwise the map would have ended up looking like a cat's cradle and it would have just been a difficult walk to complete. So I haven't actually covered all of the blue plaques in the area. So maybe if you're going to do the walk, you might want to see if you can find the others. All right then, let's get to it. This is the 26th Womble I've done now, and I really like this area. So Baker Street's a Zone 1 station. It's got 10 platforms, which is actually the most platforms of any underground station on the entire network. It opened in 1863. It falls under the local authority area of Westminster, and it serves the area of Marylebone. It's a big and busy old station, obviously 10 platforms, 5 lines, Metropolitan, Hammersmith and City, Circle, Jubilee and Bakerloo, my favourite, the old classic. It's a lovely station, dare I say iconic? It is iconic. We'll have a closer inspection a bit later, but for now let's get to the map and see where we're going and what we're going to get up to today. There's 28 plaques to find, so let's get to it. As well as videos, I also make little maps, like little guided tours, which I upload onto the Go Jauntly app. So if you like my walks and want to give one of them a go, you can download the app for free and follow along in there. I'm trying to encourage people to get out more, walk more and explore London. There's a tool there that's free to use, so please do make use of it. Today we're going to head out of Baker Street station and kind of head north up some side streets, go and have a look at the Sherlock Holmes Museum and go down on Baker Street, find some cool little side roads, go round to Manchester Square where the Wallace Collection is, and then we're going to cut up Marlborough High Street, round the back of Madame Tussauds, round by Regents Park, and then back on ourselves. There's absolutely loads to see and do today, so let's get to it. Once we come out of the station, our first point of interest is this, which is Lloyd's Bank. Now this, in 1971, was the scene of the Great Baker Street bank robbery, which is an interesting story. It was quite the heist. So see roughly where Dunkin' Donuts is now, there used to be a little shop there called Le Sac, and the robbers, they rented out that little shop and they tunnelled underneath from there all the way underneath the bank vault up and robbed the bank vault. What makes it interesting though is there's some sort of mystery surrounding it, because there must have been something in the bank vault that was of importance, because the police files relating to the case are under embargo into 2071. It's 100 years. That's interesting, right? Anyway, as we walk along here, our next point of interest is on our right, that building there, which is the Chiltern Court Hotel. Or at least it would have been a hotel if things had gone according to plan. So the plan was that it was going to be a hotel, and then World War I broke out, which interfered with everything and all the building work. So it never actually became a hotel. It became a swanky block of flats and a restaurant. But it was home to a fair few notable people over the years. So we're going to go down there and find some blue plaques. Here we've got a plaque for H.G. Wells, writer Arnold Bennett, composer Eric Coates, and a plaque for the SOE telemark. We'll cover the SOE a bit later on. For now, let's have a little wander up Baker Street. Winding your way down on Baker Street, light in your head and dead on your feet. Wow, another crazy day. You'll drink the night away and forget about everything. This city desert makes you feel so cold. It's got so many people, but it's got no soul. And it's taken you so long to find out you were wrong when you thought it held everything. Cheery old song, that, isn't it? Well, I love London. I love Baker Street. It's not going to get me down. Okay, next on our little walk, we've got Abbey House, which is the street address is 221 Baker Street, which was the original address where Sherlock Holmes was living. So this is not where Arthur Conan Doyle thought that Sherlock Holmes was going to live. This was built after that. It's a 1930s Art Deco building, and it was the headquarters of the Abbey National Building Society. But it's a nice looking building. I love all this 1930s architecture. I do think it's stunning. It looks a little like the Ministry of Truth in 1984. It's not. That was based on the Senate Library over in Bloomsbury, which is a similar looking building. I'll cover that when we do Russell Square in the future. And if you're watching in the future, maybe check out my Russell Square video, because I'm sure I've covered it over there. Okay, next on our list is the Sherlock Holmes Museum. It's always busy. There's always a queue, which I'm chuffed about, to be honest. People who get excited about books and literature and my kind of people. So let's celebrate the queue. There's a blue plaque above the door, which lists that as 221 Baker Street. It's not actually 221 Baker Street. It's actually 237. But they're allowed to use 221 by permission of Westminster Council. Which is a quirky fact. It's quite interesting. It might win you some points on a pub quiz one day. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here for all your pub quiz needs. Okay, we've just turned into Park Road. It's called Park Road because you've got Regents Park just off to the right-hand side. We'll pop and do Regents Park a bit later, but for now we're down here to have a look at this plaque. José de San Martin, Argentinian soldier and statesman. Oh, look at this beautiful house. There's loads of gorgeous houses on this little trail. I can't wait to show you some others. Okay, we've just turned the corner onto Wentworth Street and we're just heading down here, Siddons Lane, named after the 19th century actor Sarah Siddons. Now, there used to be a plaque. She used to have a plaque at the top of Baker Street because that's where she used to live. And she was actually the first woman ever to have a blue plaque. But the house on Baker Street was demolished in 1905, so the plaque's no longer there. But you're able to view it in the V&A Museum. But yeah, that's a fun fact. I like blue plaques. So she was the first ever female to have a blue plaque in London. Anyway, the reason we're down here is because there's a blue plaque down here for George Nysel, who was a contact lens pioneer, because the first ever contact lens laboratory was down here, down this little side road. Okay, coming up, we've got what I think might be my favourite plaque in London. But first, let's grab a quick break. Right, let's stop and have a little coffee break. I feel like, you've made it this far. You must like the video, so let's have a coffee together. I think we're friends now. People who watch the videos all the way through really do help the channel. The algorithm likes it, and also it helps me because I know that obviously the content must be decent if you're sticking around to watch it. If you're loving the project and you want to support it, you can do that by doing 3 things: by watching the videos, by liking the videos, and by subscribing to my little channel. There's a little button down there that you can click to like and subscribe. So if you haven't already, please can you hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'll give you a second while you do that and wait for you. Have you done it? Okay, fab, thank you. You can also support me by buying me a coffee through the Buy Me a Coffee app. There's a link in my bio. I don't get any money from YouTube. I'm not monetized on it. So if you wanted to throw some money my way, then you can just tap on the Buy Me a Coffee. Buy me a drink to keep me caffeinated and hydrated while I'm out on my wombles. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, here on Malcolm Street, we've got London's smallest blue plaque, which is got to be my favourite blue plaque in London. I mean, how awesome is this? So basically, it's not a proper blue plaque. It's not like an English heritage one or anything like that. It's just one that some random person is stuck on a post box here. But how cool is it? So the plaque's for Danger Mouse. And I grew up, I'm born in the 70s, raised in the 80s. I grew up on Danger Mouse. And so I just absolutely love the fact there's plaques here. So Danger Mouse in the cartoon shared his offices with his sidekick Penfold in a post box on Baker Street, and so someone's put it, like, obviously gone out and bought a plaque and put it here. So I mean, this just absolutely tickles me, the fact that someone has gone out of their way to buy one of these from eBay or wherever and put it here. It's just, it's wholesome, it's quirky, it's fun. And I love the fact that there's people like that in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like the people that yarn bomb and crochet like hats for the post boxes and stuff. I love people like that. I just think it's brilliant. And then quirky fact, which may be related or not, it may be deliberate or it might be a happy accident, but Penfold is obviously Danger Mouse's sidekick, but Penfold is actually one of the architects. John Penfold was the architect for one of the designs for the post box. So coincidence? I'm not sure, but anyway, it will help you out on a pub quiz one day possibly, so I thought I'd include it. Okay, next up on our little tour is the Wonderpass, which is basically just an underpass, a subway, been nicely decorated. So it's kind of part optical illusion, part kind of gallery, really. It's got these 5 cabinets of curiosities, like this one here, lined up along the way. And it basically just tells the tale of the history of Baker Street and the local area. Underpasses can be a bit grotty, can't they? And they often smell of piss, but this one's great. I love what they've done with the place. It's nice. It's got that kind of circus meets the magic roundabout vibe to it. It's pretty quirky. I love quirky. It's a pretty short underpass. It just takes you underneath the busy Marylebone Road. And so it just takes you safely under from one side of the road to the other, which is what we're going to do now. We're heading off to find a load more blue plaques and quirky facts. Hopefully my voice will hold up. I am hanging on in there. I think you can hear. It's been quite a struggle doing this voiceover, but we're getting there. Some people probably wondering why I don't have my face on the camera, and the reason for that is because London's the star of this show, not me, but also I work in a school and I don't want my face on the internet, so that's why. I absolutely love walking around London and just doing my own thing. I'm a lone ranger. I like my own company and I like walking around on my own, and I don't want to be recognised when I'm out and about. Not that I'm like antisocial or anything. I just want to do the project and just mind my own business and do it anonymously, if that makes sense. Anyway, we're heading out of the underpass now. We're on Baker Street, and coming up above Pret is our next blue plaque for William Pitt the Younger, the youngest ever Prime Minister. He was only 24 when he became Prime Minister. That's pretty young, right? Okay, we're going to head off down some of the side roads now. The first side road we're going to head down is York Street, where we've got this plaque for painter George Richmond. He was quite famous he did a famous painting of Charles Darwin. He actually lived in this house for 53 years. And I think that's nice. I think it's nice when someone gets settled in a house and they stay there for a long, long time. I mean, to be fair, if I had a townhouse in Marylebone, I don't think I'd be going anywhere either. I love it round there. It's so nice. Lots of stunning houses. I love these like 3 or 4 story townhouses. They are right up my street. Right, next we are heading to Montagu Mansions, which is this building here. This is absolutely stunning. And there's a blue plaque down here that we're going to have a look at. But look at the architecture on these. Right, here's our blue plaque. This is for Marcel Stellman, who was a record producer and a songwriter who worked with the likes of Cilla Black and Tony Bennett, but also, interestingly, co-invented the TV show Countdown. So, yeah, interesting. He lived here with his wife Jean for 55 years. Again, I'm loving how long people stay in this area, but then why would you ever move if you lived here? Next up, we've got a plaque for Sir Gerald Kelly, who was a favourite painter of the royal family. Lots of painters and a spattering of writers around here. It's very artsy, isn't it? Sir Gerald lived here for 56 years. Again, that's a good length of occupancy, right? Okay, next plaque is Tony Ray Jones, a photographer. I forgot to mention we're on Gloucester Place at the minute, which is a road that runs parallel to Baker Street. So it's a lovely road, actually. There's lots of beautiful Georgian townhouses and lovely architecture down here. So if that's your thing, I would highly recommend a walk down there. It runs all the way down to Portman Square, I believe. But yeah, it's worth checking out. Right, okay, next up we've got the site of the old Apple Boutique. So we've got a blue plaque there with John Lennon and George Harrison's name on it. So the Apple Boutique was a retail store located here on this corner of Baker Street and Paddington Street. It opened in December 1967 and it closed in July 1968, so it didn't last very long. It was one of the first business ventures of the Beatles, but shoplifting was rife and it lost money at an alarming rate, so they closed it down. But back in the day, in the 60s, there was a big mural on the wall, which I'll insert a picture of. But the council, they didn't ask permission from the council and they weren't very happy about it, so they got it removed. I mean, I imagine that would probably be worth quite a lot of money now, but anyway, it was removed. Next up, we've got 64 Baker Street. Now, this is really interesting. So there's a plaque there for the SOE, the Special Operations Executive. We saw them earlier on. There was a plaque for them over in Chiltern Court. And actually, I forgot to mention it earlier, but they had some offices over in Montagu Mansions as well. So basically, the SOE were set up in World War II, and they were like an undercover, very secret sort of network of spies, mainly female spies. So they reckon it was estimated that there was about 41 female agents serving in the SOE. And they recruited all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds. They recruited Noor Inayat Khan, absolutely fascinating woman to look up. Her code name was Madeline. Basically, they had these undercover female agents headed up by a lady called Pearl Witherington. The SOE was, far ahead of its time in its use of women in the field. And it's so fascinating. I mean, the feminist in me absolutely loves this. Okay, moving on to one of the side roads, George Street. We've got a blue plaque there for Tom Moore, Irish poet and friend of Lord Byron. And then also on George Street is the site of the Hindustani Coffee House, London's first ever curry restaurant, opened in 1810. London's first Indian restaurant. There is a plaque down there, but obviously you can see there's some building work going on, so it was all boarded up. The YouTuber Rob's London has done a nice video on this. If you like this kind of content, maybe check out Rob's London because he does brilliant videos. Right then, moving on, we've got our next blue plaque for Captain Thomas Riversdale Coilier Ferguson. What a name. We're actually down Fitzharding Street now, on our way to Manchester Square. So we're more than halfway through the walk now. This feels like it's a really long one. I think this might be one of the longest videos I've done. The walk itself is pretty much the same length of time as all the other ones I've done, but I think I've done more research and I've waffled a lot more and I've had more time to spend doing the editing because I've been poorly. So the videos just ended up being a lot longer than normal. But hopefully, well, you're still here, so you must be enjoying it. So that's good. That's good news. Thanks for sticking around. We're on the home stretch now. We're in Manchester Square, so you've got the Wallace Collection over to the left, and loads of blue plaques. There's absolutely loads around here. Alfred Milner, Victorian statesman. Sir Julius Benedict, composer. John Hewlins Jackson, who was an English neurologist, best known for his work on epilepsy. Neuroscience fascinates me. I find it so interesting. I like to listen to neuroscience podcasts for fun. I love podcasts. I love learning. I walk a lot, so I listen to a lot of podcasts and audio books. So, if you've got any good recommendations, feel free to put them in the comments for me because, I'm into it. I love the human brain. It is fascinating. Anyway, this is the Wallace Collection, which is a free museum. I've not been in, but people seem to love it. If you like your art, there's a Gainsborough in there, there's a Rembrandt in there. It used to be a private collection, and then the Marquis of Hereford died and left it to his illegitimate son, Richard Wallace. And then when he died, his widow, Lady Wallace, bequeathed the whole collection to the nation. And so it's just open for people to browse and look around. Talking of browsing and looking around, I wanted just to put a quick little map in here just to give you some sort of perspective on timings and like walk radiuses. The map here is a 15-minute walk radius using Baker Street Underground Station as the central point. So you can see from Baker Street, you can, walk out 15 minutes in any direction and get yourself out quite far. So if you go north, then you'll end up in Regents Park. If you go east, you'll end up all the way over by Great Portland Street. If you go south, you'll end up straight down on Oxford Street. It pops you out near Selfridges. And if you go west, you can get all the way out down to the Edgware Road, which is really near Paddington. So it's pretty central, and like anywhere in Zone 1 of London, you can pretty much, get yourself around and get yourself to quite meaningful places on foot without needing to use the underground. My channel is all about encouraging people to get out more, walk more, and to build your confidence on navigating London. So it's always worth having a little look at the map and figuring out where you are and how quick it is to get everywhere in London, because it's all really close together. Okay, we're heading away from Manchester Square now along Hines Street, because there's a plaque here for Rose Macaulay, who was a writer. She was actually Dame Rose Macaulay. She was a writer, mainly travel writer, and a feminist. So, it sounds like someone who belongs in my gang, a feminist who loves to travel. Sounds right up my street. Okay, next we're on Bentinck Street for a bit of a Blue Plaque bonanza, actually. There's 3 down this street. This street was named after William Bentinck, who was the second Duke of Portland. And Charles Dickens used to live here, actually, at number 18. There's no blue plaque for Charles Dickens down here, but he's got plenty of plaques dotted around London. Plaques down here are James Smithson, scientist and founder of the Smithsonian Institute. This guy is absolutely fascinating. I looked him up when I was doing the research and fell down into a bit of a hole looking at his early life and his escapades. He lived such an interesting life, and I'm amazed nobody's made a film about him, as he seems quite the character. Lots of main character energy about him, I think. So he's an interesting guy to look up. Then we've got Sir James Mackenzie, who was a cardiologist, knighted by King George for his services to medicine, although ironically he died of angina. And then we've got Edward Gibson, who was an English essayist and historian. Okay, we're heading up to Marylebone Village now. I've put a little map in there so you can get your bearings and see where we've got to. This video's ended up being really long. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the channel. I guess time will tell. I've done loads of videos now. Some are short, some are a little bit longer. Some are better than others for sure, but I'll put a carousel in so you can see where I've been. I watch YouTube videos when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, and I don't know, I've kind of got a thing where I want to learn something new every day, and so that's what I use YouTube for, because I find it really interesting and you can learn really cool things. And hopefully that's what this channel is doing for you as well, and maybe that's why you're here, and maybe you're kind of built like me, so hopefully you don't mind the longer videos, because the longer it is, the more you learn, I guess. This one has been longer because I've been chatting a lot more, which is ironic really, because I've got a sore throat, but I don't know, I think I'm just in the mood where I want to have a little bit more of a chat. And again, some people will like that, some people won't. You please one, you offend the other. Some people will be like, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And other people will be like, no, I like it, I'm here for the chat, I like to get to know you a little bit more, Emmi. My last video got about 90 views, which I was really pleased with. And each video I do seems to get more views. So it'll be interesting to see how this one does. I don't know whether it correlates but I imagine the better the videos are, the more people watch it. But then the more people watch them, the more people are likely to find you, because the algorithm pushes it out more. So I don't know. It's complicated. I'm new here. I'm just learning on the job. I didn't intend on becoming a YouTuber. It was a happy accident. I started this in the 6 weeks holidays when I was off work. It's just a little project to keep me busy, and I started putting the videos up to share with friends and families and colleagues. And then the next thing I know, it became a big hit and my Instagram account had 3,000 followers, which is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad people are jumping on board with the project. And I'm really pleased I started it. I've learned loads of cool things along the way. I've learned how to edit videos as well and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. And hopefully you are too. So don't be shy. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, when do you watch? Why do you watch? What brings you here? I'd love to know. Right, we're back on the move now. Next plaque is Thomas Young, who, according to the plaque, was a man of science. What a title. He was an interesting guy. He was an Egyptologist who helped decipher the hieroglyphics on the Rosetta Stone. Okay, next up is Moxon Street. This is usually a mecca for food lovers and foodies because there's lots of restaurants and specialist delis and things this way, but that's not what we're down here for. We're down Garbett Place because we've got a blue plaque for Octavia Hill. So Octavia Hill was a social reformer and she co-founded the National Trust. And her main concern was the welfare of inhabitants of cities, especially London, and she championed outdoor spaces and helped save Hampstead Heath and Parliament Hill fields from being built on. She believed in the life-enhancing virtues of pure earth, clean air and blue sky. And in 1883, she wrote, I think we want 4 things: places to sit, places to play in, places to stroll in, and places to spend the day in. And I think, yeah, good for her. I'm all for that. I am, I'm all for this nature-loving, forward-thinking woman pressing for social reform. And plus, this house is lush, right? This is my lottery win house right here. I love this little street. This is my ideal. I think I really want to live in this house. I mean, check it out. It's absolutely gorgeous. Talking of gorgeous, we're off to Daunt Books now on Marylebone High Street, which is an absolutely stunning bookshop. There's a few of these now. It's an independent bookstore, but it is a chain. They've got a few dotted around London. But anyway, this branch here was the first ever one, and it's housed in a former Edwardian bookshop. So it's got skylights and William Morris prints inside. And there's even like a large walk-in safe, which is where like the expensive volumes used to be stored once upon a time. It's absolutely beautiful in there. I didn't film inside because I don't actually feel that comfortable filming inside bookshops. I feel like, bookshops and libraries, they feel like hallowed spaces, like sacred spaces to me, and I don't really want to be going in there with the camera and the gimbal and all of that jazz. So I didn't film in there. I did film inside Hatchard's bookshop on Piccadilly. So if you haven't seen my Piccadilly Circus Womble, check that one out. There is some footage inside there, but yeah, I just didn't feel that comfortable, so I'm sorry there is no footage inside, but I can assure you it is absolutely beautiful in there. Marylebone in general is really, really beautiful, especially like the Marylebone village. I mean, look at this old pub here. This used to be the old Rising Sun. You can see the old signage and the brickwork above the door, and it's absolutely beautiful. Next we're heading up Nottingham Place, which is going to get us out on the Marylebone Road near Madame Tussauds. This is a beautiful road down here. All these stunning houses. A lot of these have been converted into hotels now, but all very, very beautiful. We're on the home stretch now. We're heading back towards Baker Street Station, which is right in front of us, but we are just going to make our way around the back of it to have a look at Regents Park and a couple more plaques. Okay, here we are on the Marylebone Road. There is the dome, that's the planetarium dome, and there is Madame Tussauds, which was founded in 1895 by Marie Tussaud. The first ever one was on Baker Street. And the first wax sculpture ever to be made was of Voltaire in 1777. I covered Voltaire in Covent Garden because there's a Voltaire plaque in Covent Garden. Like a bit of Voltaire, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. It's a really popular venue. There's always a queue outside. I've actually never been. There's Madame Tussauds all around the world, isn't there? There's one in Budapest, there's one in Hong Kong, there's one in New York. I've been to all of those places, but I haven't visited Madame Tussauds because, when I'm in Budapest, I want to go visit the baths. When I'm in New York, I want to go and visit Central Park. I don't know about these type of museums. I don't want to mock it. I don't want to be negative. I'm just saying it's not my sort of thing. I like to go to more unique and quirky places. But I guess it is unique and quirky for this walk because Baker Street was where it all began. Okay, we're in Regents Park now. I love all the green spaces in London. Regents Park is absolutely beautiful. It's a Grade 1 listed park. We're going to head in here just briefly because there's a blue plaque here for Francis Turner Palgrave, who was an English critic and poet and editor of the influential anthology The Golden Treasury. This part of the park that we're on now is called the Outer Circle. So Regent's Park's got an outer ring road called the Outer Circle and then an inner ring road called the Inner Circle, oddly enough. And then on the south and the east and the west side of the park, they've got all these beautiful, very elegant white stucco terraces that were designed by John Nash. John Nash done an awful lot of architecture in London. We saw him when we did Great Portland Street. There was a bust of him outside All Souls Church. But he's done loads of... he was a very prominent architect. And a lot of his buildings are Grade 1 listed. That is really something. I love all the listings. I spend quite a lot of time on the English Heritage website. Well, I'm a little bit of an oddball, to be honest, but I love investigating all the houses and I just find it endlessly fascinating. We won't cover too much of Regent's Park because I'll cover the whole park in more detail when we do Regent's Park Underground Station, which we're not there yet. I haven't done that yet, but if you're watching in the future, then I probably have covered it because I'm covering all of the Zone 1 stations first. So yes, if you are there from the future, look up Regent's Park and I'm sure there'll be a fabulous video all about it. Talking of fabulous, our next blue plaque is for the ever fabulous King of the Carry-On, Kenneth Williams. I grew up on Carry-On films and I've got such fond memories of innocently chuckling away to them. This plaque was unveiled by Barbara Windsor and I love that. I hope Babs gets a plaque of her own one day, bless her. So Kenneth Williams lived here at flat 62 Farley Court and apparently he was elated when he moved in here and he wrote, "My bedroom looks out..." I'm not going to do my Kenneth Williams impression, by the way. "My bedroom looks out over Regent's Park. The trees are turning now and it's a beautiful sight. I can see all the traffic twinkling down the Marylebone Road. It's all so marvellous I could cry." But later, in a more misanthropic mood, Williams wrote of looking down upon the nits crowding around outside the Waxworks, how I loathe them and Madame Tussaud. And that's about a wrap for our little walk around Marylebone and Baker Street. We've got one last thing to look at, which is the Sherlock Statue, which has been here since 1999. It's a 3-metre-high bronze statue by sculptor John Doubleday. And then there's one last heritage plaque, which is a Transport Trust heritage plaque for Baker Street Station, because it's the world's first underground station, which opened on the 10th of January 1863. What do you think of the editing on this video, by the way? I've been a bit poorly. I haven't been able to get out and womble as much as I'd like, but I have been able to spend a bit of extra time fiddling about doing the editing with the videos because I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy all parts of the project. I love the research. I love doing all the artwork and like the graphic design, and I love editing the videos. I know a lot of YouTubers hate doing all of that editing stuff, but honestly, I love it. So I really like spending the extra time. So yeah, if you like this layout and format and some of the new features and things, then leave me a comment and let me know, because yeah, I'm quite chuffed with this one. I think this one's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed that little tour. We're off to St Paul's Underground Station next on the project, so stay tuned for that and I'll see you soon.